Expecto Patronum!
Hey guys, we're back with Expecto Podcastum. This is our second episode. I'm Adam.
I'm Laura.
And welcome back. So last time we finished kind of halfway through episode 3 because we like to just do an hour of talking.
3?
Episode 3, chapter 3.
Chapter 3.
The Letters from No One. So we had got to the stage where they were just about to go to the island. So we'll pick up from there.
Okay. So Petunia, obviously after being freaked out by the 100 letters at the hotel, wouldn't it be better just to go home, dear? And Petunia says, of course, Dudley then says, Daddy's gone mad, hasn't he?
I think that's the first time that Dudley is genuinely concerned for his safety ever.
Ever in his whole life.
He's like, oh shit.
But even then, he doesn't seem so confused. So concerned. He's just like Dudley asked Aunt Petunia dully. He's just like, Daddy's gone mad, hasn't he?
But I think that's because he sees his dad as this perfect man, father figure who's always right, and that's kind of what's been portrayed to him his whole life. Is that Vernon is the privileged white male, basically, who is perfect, and whose character should not be questioned.
So then we have, sorry, let me get my notes back up. So then they go onto the island. They meet this weird old man, a toothless old man, and gives them a rather wicked grin. And
Vernon has this plastic bag with them.
A
with
long old package.
With something in it that we're not told until later. So they go over to the island with this shack in it, and it's not the nicest place ever. Found a few raggedy old blankets with holes and stuff in
moldy blankets.
Oh, disgusting.
I
could not deal with that.
Yeah.
I'm used to luxury. This is not okay.
No. And then Harry finds the softest bit of floor.
A floor is a luxury.
Yes, a floor is an absolute luxury. And his stomach rumbling with hunger. Poor old Harry.
But then Vernon pulls out packets of crisps for their dinner. Really? This ties back into all of this abuse stuff. Really, Vernon?
Well, he does give that to, everyone. He's just not a good, I think he just doesn't understand what nutrition is.
But, pick up a packet of sausages. There's going to be a fire, there.
Well, no, he tries to light
a fire with
packets on fire, and that doesn't work.
He clearly was never in the Scouts.
He's
very
privileged.
Clearly.
He's probably never even been camping. So then Harry starts. Everyone goes to bed, and Harry looks at Dudley's watch on his fat wrist, and counts down his birthday. And just at the stroke of midnight, there's a massive boom on the shack.
Before all of this, though, Harry doesn't seem very particularly excited about his birthday at all.
No.
He's just like, oh, well, I'm awake, so I might as well count down.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, there's this big, huge storm outside, and this storm keeps raging and raging and raging. I just love how JK, builds up this storm and just builds it up and builds it up and builds it up, and it gets louder and louder and louder, and then you have this big boom, and then in comes this mysterious person who's bloody massive.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on. The first time that I read that scene, that freaked me out. Absolutely freaked me out. Because I was like, who the hell is this person? Really? Why is somebody coming outside the door? How did they get there? There's the middle of a bloody storm. This person is clearly insane, come to murder everybody. But then obviously rereading it then later on when I knew who Hagrid was, and just found out that he's this loving character. I was like, oh, thank God, Harry is going to be safe now. He'll be in safe hands, and he'll actually be treated as a human being of equal stature. And I was like, amen.
Amen, sister. So then we're on to chapter 4, The Keeper of Keys. And so there's a massive boom. Dudley wakes up. Where's the cannon? Uncle Vernon skids into the room, and he's holding a rifle, which was what had been in the long thin package.
And what I love as well is just like, okay, in the movie, Hagrid, you know, walks in and is just like,
Yeah.
oh, sorry about that. I'm just like,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that's like so like Hagrid.
That is just
Apparently,
perfectly
so
normal.
J.K. Rowling, this could be just like an absolute rumor. But apparently, J.K. Rowling got the idea of Hagrid from a biker she met, like this really rough biker who spoke to her about his vegetable patch.
I heard about that one as well. I feel like
Yeah.
that could be a true thing.
Yeah. So Hagrid is described as a giant of a man. His face was almost completely hidden by a long shaggy mane of hair and a wild tangled beard, but you could make out his eyes glinting like black beetles under all the hair. So Hagrid, the first thing we hear from Hagrid is, couldn't make us a cup of tea, could you?
How Irish is that?
I know, it is really Irish.
I was just like, oh, Jesus, just
yeah.
like being at home.
And of course, then something I noted is, like, he comes in, he tells Dudley to like budge up, you great lump, and he's so happy to see Harry, and he says that the beetle eyes were crinkled in a smile. Last time I saw you was only a baby. You look a lot like your dad, but you've got your mum's eyes. So that becomes such
This
like a
recurring theme.
yeah. He looks like his dad, and he got his mum's eyes. Like that's a thing that is like becomes like a boring thing. Like everyone says it to him, but this is the first time probably that has been said to him. Like he doesn't know a thing about his parents, and now he's probably like, oh my god, I look like my dad, but I have my mum's eyes. Like it probably means everything to him.
I just think it's interesting that
moment.
Harry never even touches on that in the books.
Yeah, it's not
all.
even said.
He never
like-
even obviously he's just completely overwhelmed with what he's going to be told later on in this chapter.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, so then there's this big fight then between Vernon and Hagrid, a war of words more so than anything
Yeah.
else, on oh, you're not allowed to tell him this secret.
Yeah.
You don't know what the secret is still. Blah blah blah.
And he starts to figure out that Harry actually knows nothing.
Nothing at all
And
about the
yeah.
magical world.
I think Dumbledore was so naive to think that the Dursleys would tell Harry about magic.
I know,
like-
exactly.
Surely, like, he heard from Mrs. Fig that he wasn't being treated right. Like, always left behind. Like, Mrs. Fig would be like, oh yeah, I only ever babysit Harry. I never babysit Dudley. I only ever babysit Harry. And it's because they've gone to the cinema, or they've gone to the zoo, or they've gone to the beach, and
Yeah,
Harry
exactly.
never gets to go along.
And oh, don't you think that's a bit strange?
Yeah.
That Harry is never allowed to go to these really nice things. I like as well in this chapter, there's like a really, really outstanding theme of like protection.
Yes.
So like Vernon, he protects his family physically from Hagrid, but he also kind of protects Harry in a way from the truth of his
Yeah.
actual existence. Like,
Isn't
he
it-
is a wizard.
Yeah.
But then Hagrid protects Harry from the Dursleys
Yes.
and just
And protects what his
gives him this
birthright.
right to choose that he wants to know. And then he also protects Dumbledore because obviously
Yes.
Vernon calls Dumbledore this old crackpot,
Yeah.
and he's
Teaching
like,
him magic tricks.
"Don't you insult Albus Dumbledore in front of me."
Yes. So it says, you never told him what is in the letter Dumbledore left for him. I was there. I saw Dumbledore leave it, Dursley, and you've kept it from him all these years. And Harry's like freaking out. Vernon shouts, "Stop, I forbid you." And he goes, "Harry, you're a wizard." And of course, I'm a what? A wizard, of course. And a thumping good one, I'd say, once you've been trained up a bit. And then, of course, he gives Harry his letter. And I'm going to read it for you, Adam. Mr. H. Potter, the floor, hut on the rock, the sea. Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, Headmaster Albus Dumbledore, Order of Merlin First Class, Grand Sorcerer, Chief Warlock, Supreme Mugwump, International Confederation of Wizards.
I'll just hold you up there.
Yes.
Clearly, we can already see that Dumbledore is this very distinguished,
Yes.
very, very, very popular wizard. He wouldn't have all of these titles if he wasn't a very powerful man.
Exactly. So, dear Mr. Potter, we are pleased to inform you that you have a place at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Please find enclosed a list of all necessary books and equipment. Term begins on 1st of September. We await your L by no later than 31st of July. Yours sincerely, Minerva McGonagall, Deputy Headmistress. Now, do you think, right, there are other schools, like magic schools in the UK? Or is Hogwarts just the best one?
This is the one that I'm always thinking about. I don't think there is more.
No, I don't think
UK.
there's either. I just think a lot of people are homeschooled.
And I think as well the population of wizards isn't big enough to have.
That's something about the movies that really
schools.
annoys me. They over exaggerate the population of wizards.
Oh, like Hogwarts is just always this packed building, and I'm like,
No, it's not. There's only
it's tiny.
five boys in Hogwarts, in Gryffindor.
And then obviously 5 girls to match
No, there's
that.
3 girls. There's only 3 girls, isn't there? There's Lavender, Parvati, and Hermione, isn't there?
I feel like though that there's some more characters that they haven't mentioned. I feel that it would be 5 and 5 for some reason, but that's just me and my.
But
little
it
bit of
depends on the sort.
OCD.
And there's loads of people. There's loads of girls in Slytherin.
Yeah, that is very true actually.
I think like it does depend on who goes where, but I also think that there's no more than like 30 people in Harry's year.
Oh, most definitely. I think that's the thing is like that they overstate how many wizards there are in the UK, which there's definitely. What is it? It's something like I read a statistic before that it's supposed to be like
20,000 or something.
Yeah, it's like supposed to be like 0.5% of the population.
Yeah.
Or even less than that.
But even then, like you have to imagine, like probably, like there's just been a massive war that happened only 10 years ago, and like but that had
not
been going
even
on.
Before that as well,
a lot of people have been killed.
And you can see as well from Fantastic Beasts that wizards also fought in like the Great War.
Yeah.
As well, and obviously I would presume, obviously it's not in the timeline yet, that they would have fought in World War II as well, so you would have had this large culling of people.
Oh yeah, there's like I think there might be a thing, because it's known in history, just going to say, like I'm going to dip into this really quickly, but like that Hitler was like kind of interested in the occult, so it's like not not ridiculous
unplausible
to say that like Grindelwald comes into World War II with Hitler. Like I'm just saying, just putting out there, could be ridiculous, but like you have
Laura
to think of it.
is secretly J.K. Rowling.
No, but it's just that Grindelwald was defeated in 1945 and World War II ended in 45, and so it's just funny that those two wars ended the same year, and think that there was no correlation between the thing. But anyway, that's for another discussion with Fantastic Beasts and all like that. But anyway, so of course he gets his letters. There was something there. Wait, where is it? When he tells Harry that his parents were killed by not in a car crash. Oh, he also hears Lily and James Potter killed in
a car accident or car crash.
Yeah. Do you think that's the first time he heard his parents' names? You know?
I don't know. As we
he would have freaked out a bit more?
As we said, like previously, like when did he know his parents' names or not? We're never really told. It's just very uncertain whether he did know his parents' names, because you just said, oh, your mother and father all the time on the run up to that.
And then of course we learn what a muggle is, and that it's non-magic people, essentially us. Lol, sad story, like if you cried. But yeah, but then Harry has a flashback. He hears his mum, like he hears a bit more, he remembers a bit more than just this big flash.
One of the things I have written down here as a point would be, could we argue that the Dursleys really have the best interests of Harry at heart by not telling him about the truth about his parents, protecting him from like knowing about this dark wizard, and you know that technically he's gone, but he mightn't be gone.
But it could have just been said, oh, they died in a car crash. They didn't have to be like they were drunk. You know? That's what gets me. If they just said, oh, there was a terrible accident and they died in a car crash, you'd be like, okay. But they're like, oh no, they're drinking and that's why they died and that's why you got in a car crash.
But I suppose though, at the age of like 11, he'd probably be a bit more curious and would be constantly asking these questions of like, well, why were they in a car accident? And then I think one of probably the easiest thing to do would have just been, you know, oh, drunk.
Yeah. Oh, I found it. So it says, as Hagrid's story came to a close, he saw the blinding flash of green light more clearly than he had ever remembered it before, and he remembered something else. For the first time in his life, a high, cold, cruel laugh. Ugh. Ugh. That's just horrible, isn't it?
That is the most awful thing ever. Of course, it's even worse when you hear it in real life, when you go see Cursed Child. Oh.
I know, and of course then Vernon threatens physical violence. Now you listen here, boy, I accept there's something strange about you. Probably nothing a good beating wouldn't have cured. Like, he regrets not beating Harry.
I love as well though, just going back to how Hagrid tells him that that's basically the whole of the backstory of the first Wizarding War. He literally just tells him everything about what happened.
It's so quick.
Oh, it was dark times, blah blah blah.
Dark times, Harry, you know, dark times.
And then he goes into like who Voldemort had killed and everything like that as well, and you're like, oh wow, this like thorough history in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's really, really, really quick.
And we also learn as well that Hagrid was expelled from Hogwarts.
Yes.
But we're not told why, and then he seems really like he's very quickly gets off that topic.
Yeah.
He's literally like, oh, I'll just make sausages now.
Yeah, and then we learn that Voldemort has vanished, that that he just vanished. Some say he died codswallop, in my opinion, so we have this foreshadowing of that Voldemort might not really be gone.
And I think it's really interesting when you break down Voldemort's name, because obviously J.K. Rowling has told us that his name is French, you know, and that it's pronounced more, not
Voldemort.
Mort. And vol in French is flight, and more is death. Yeah. So it's literally Voldemort, flight of death, to fly from death. And I was like, yes, that is pretty amazing.
That's actually something, we're probably going to do an episode about Cursed Child, but that's something that definitely took me out when we were watching The Cursed Child, or seeing The Cursed Child. Every time they said Voldemort, I'd be like, no, the world knows it as Voldemort. Like, if you're, like, it's said in the movies as Voldemort. If you were so annoyed by it, you should have done it straight away with Chris Columbus.
Yeah,
in Philosopher's Stone. Like, why? Anyway, that's something. So we're going to call him Voldemort purely because that's how I read it. That's because I didn't know French when I was like 10 years old, and so we're just going to call him Voldemort. But yeah, so of course he gives Dudley a pig's tail in return, in revenge for Vernon calling Dumbledore a crackpot old fool.
Oh, I just love that so much.
I know.
The amount of people
really
I could
actually
give
prefer
pigtails.
the way in the movie. So it says here, Hagrid thundered when he shouted. But in the movie, I really like how he goes, "Never insult Albus Dumbledore in front of me." Like, he says it really menacingly. Really, like, I think that's so much more intimidating than actually shouting.
I think it was very intimidating how he lowers his voice slightly as well, gets a bit deeper, and definitely. As well, I have a point here that Hagrid was the first person to generally care for Harry.
Oh, definitely.
You know, cooks him food, takes care of him, but we never told exactly what house Hagrid is in. It's told that he was Hufflepuff, wasn't he? No. Later on? I researched this because I didn't know. So I was on the Harry Potter Wikipedia page, and apparently he's in Gryffindor. An interview in 2000 with J.K. Rowling, where she mentions that Hagrid is in Gryffindor. I can totally see Gryffindor qualities in him, but I kind of thought that he was either... Originally, I don't know why. I thought that he was in Slytherin from reading the second book.
No, but he hates Slytherin.
He hates Slytherin, but I just thought that it was because, obviously, reasons why we'll go in the second book. Hufflepuff. And then I thought, you know, with his caring nature and everything, that he could be put, and fierce loyalty and everything like this, is that he could just be put into Hufflepuff. But he's in Gryffindor, and I was like, oh, this is kind of strange. I need to rewatch Chamber of Secrets, but I am almost positive he was in Hufflepuff, and anyway. You see, in the Chamber of Secrets, though, the way that it's photographed, because it's all in black and white, so you don't really know.
Yeah, I suppose.
But that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, so like you said, they go on and he tells Harry he shouldn't really be doing magic, and he brushes over the fact that he got expelled. And he gives Harry his big thick black coat and threw it over him and let him sleep on the couch. And that concludes chapter 4. And then we move on to the mammoth that is chapter 5, Diagon Alley. Adam and I were just talking about this before we started recording. How overwhelming this chapter is.
It's literally, but it's such a short chapter.
Yeah.
But it's just packed full of information. I literally have this sensory overload when I read this chapter every single time. I'm like, oh my god.
I was just rereading this earlier today in preparation for recording, and I was like, you learn about so much. Like, I know, like, obviously we're massive Potter fans, so we know a lot. Like, we've read stuff on Pottermore, we know a lot of the backstory that isn't included in the books. But so to reread this, I was even feeling overwhelmed knowing everything. You know?
Yeah,
it's
definitely. I was like, whoa, okay, I didn't realise that we learnt about this so early on. I felt like we had been gradually told all of this, but no, all in one chapter. So basically what's happening at the minute is Hagrid has just told Harry that he's a wizard. They weather out the storm in this shack. So in the morning time, they get up and they go into the boat.
Harry thinks it's a dream, the poor thing.
Until he wakes up in Hagrid's coat and is like, oh, this was real crap. Yeah. What am I doing?
There's an owl with the Daily Prophet, and we see the first bits of visiting money. He gives him 5 nuts. Is it knuts or nuts?
Nuts. I always said nuts.
Okay, we're gonna say nuts then. And they're gonna go into London and get all his stuff. So something I want to say is, when they go outside to go, he's like, Hagrid, how did you get here? And Hagrid's like, flew. And Harry's like, flew? Yeah, but we'll go back in this. How did Hagrid get there? Did he go? Obviously, he can't fit in a broom. He can't apparate though.
But I feel like Hagrid has that, because obviously this umbrella that he has is.
But I don't think it would be safe for him to apparate.
I don't really know. I mean.
Like, did he? I was thinking maybe he flew on a thestral. But
like later on in the book as well, we just see that he just disappears out of nowhere, and that's.
I know that. I wanted to say that as well.
That he
like,
apparates.
Is that an inconsistency? Because there's no way Hagrid can apparate.
This is
school at 13.
I feel like this is a moment where we need to tweet JK to get our answers.
Yeah, I think this is like an inconsistency that maybe she hadn't seen. And it's just like, oh yeah, wizards are mysterious, but then when she actually gets into it, she's like, oh yeah, apparating, like, you need a license to do it. So I think
not so much.
Like, maybe he flew on the bike and just like went back and got it. Like, Dumbledore was like, oh, I'll send someone to bring it back for you or whatever. Like, I don't think he could fit in a hippogriff, but maybe he flew on a thestral.
Possibly, who knows? So JK knows. We'll ask her.
JK knows.
Stay posted, everybody. We'll tweet JK and see.
Oh yeah, she'll like Jo will definitely answer.
No, she won't.
No, she won't. Please
senpai.
No, just me, senpai.
So Hagrid uses some magic to propel the boat move instead of rowing it, but he asks Harry not to tell anybody that he's using his magic. Yeah. Then we found out about Gringotts, the wizard bank, and that it's run by goblins, and then we end up going into the Muggle village.
We learn that Cornelius Fudge is the Minister for Magic, but that they wanted Dumbledore.
And Dumbledore basically said no, and that's why Fudge is there. Yeah. So then we find out as well that wizards do not cope with Muggle things at all.
No, they can't.
Hagrid cannot get his head around the currency. Although, obviously he enjoys the train ride, obvious reasons why, but then the tube in London, the London
he starts
Underground,
knitting, which
gets
I
on
love.
the London Underground, and he's like, these trains are so slow, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and
if he was on the Northern Line, I tend to agree.
Yeah.
that central line though, that goes very quickly. Yeah, actually, I wonder what line they were actually on.
I don't know.
It didn't say what station they went into, did it?
Yeah. Well, they would have got off at Leicester Square, because we've learned that like we learn that like later on through like other things that's not really set in the books, but like we know from, I think Joe said it, or it's on Pottermore or something, but that the Leaky Cauldron is on Charing Cross Road, which I freaked out about. So I went to London in 2012 for the first time, and I didn't know this, and I came back and I read it and I was like, oh my god, I literally walked down Charing Cross Road like 10 times when I was in London for like 4 days. So I like freaked out. I was also actually, my hotel was on Tottenham Court Road, which I loved because obviously, you know, Deathly Hallows, they operate there from the wedding. I'm getting way ahead of myself, but still. So they go to the Leaky Cauldron on Charing Cross Road, which is only visible to magic people. That and then also, actually, I wanted to say something. I noted this. So in their like set books, obviously you've got Standard Book of Spells, a History of Magic, like all those sorts of things. You can tell like why they you know, are on the list. But then you have Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and I'm a bit like, why is that on the list? They don't do Care of Magical Creatures until 3rd year. And
I think Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them would be used in like Defense Against the Dark Arts.
Yeah,
so
that's what I was
talk
going to say.
about
But then like that's everything like
creatures.
from the movie. We know like from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, the movie, we know that that's not like what Newt was about. Like I feel like he wouldn't want them to be in a Defense Against the Dark Arts class, you know. He'd very much be the Care of Magical Creatures type
I'm
guy.
sure, because Care of Magical Creatures was a what do you call it, an add-on, not
essentially
add-on,
an elective
topic that they wanted everybody to have this baseline knowledge of magical creatures, and basically a tolerance towards magical creatures, because it seems that like before Newt wrote this book there wasn't very much a tolerance for magical creatures. That's the sense that I kind of got from the whole movie, but we'll talk about that movie later on. So we find out from the Leaky Cauldron, then everybody comes rushing in to like
meet
shake
Harry.
Harry's hand, so we know that Harry is this really famous person.
This is actually something, when I was reading this, and everyone's like, people are tearing up like meeting Harry, and I feel like as the book's gone, like we see Harry's fame as like a nuisance, and we're seeing it from his point of view, and he doesn't really understand why he's famous. He's like, look, I was a baby, I didn't do anything,
I was just there.
So we're a bit like, and like with Rita Skeeter and everything, especially in Goblet of Fire, we're like, oh, why do people care that Harry's famous? Like, what the hell? But then when you see it from this, like, you realise that these people lived in terrible fear for like years and years and years, like with no hope inside at all.
It's basically like, you know, they could go out every day and just be killed.
Exactly, they were like
for no reason, just for you know, saying, oh, I don't want to be part of Voldemort's world. And even like when in Deathly Hallows, like when the war is kind of out in the open again, we don't really see it because Harry's hiding away. We don't see how the everyday like Witcher wizard is actually terrified. The only time that we get to really see that is from Potter Watch. From the radio thing, but we'll talk about that later on. As usual.
But
this seems to be a recurring theme now. We'll talk about that later on.
They're so connected, you can't like not, you know,
mention them in passing.
But so like it's just, this is the only time like you have, like I just realised this when I was rereading it, like how much of this beacon of hope Harry is for these people, and how honoured they are to meet him. And he's a bit like, what?
I also love in this chapter as well, like as soon as Hagrid comes in, Tom the barman is like, oh, your usual, and you're like, oh, just like at home. Fond of an old pint or two.
So then we're introduced to lots of people. Daedalus Diggle, who will come back in much later on in the books. I also love how Doris Crockford just keeps coming back for more.
Doris Crockford. Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you. But yeah, then we're first introduced to Professor Quirrell, who was originally the Muggle Studies professor, but he took a year off, where Hagrid says he was never the same after it, that he hasn't been the same since he came back. And that he's going to be
see that there
the
was something about vampires. Had like a question with a vampire and a hag or something like that.
So he hasn't been the same since he came back. We wonder why. And of course then they go into the entrance of Diagon Alley. Hagrid taps on the bricks, 3 up, 2 across, and this archway opens up. And I just want to say, for our Irish listeners out there, this really reminds me of, you know, the entrance to Temple Bar across the Halfpenny Bridge at Merchants Quay.
In Dublin City.
Yeah, in Dublin. This really reminds me of like the entryway into what Diagon Alley would be.
Definitely. And it's such a narrow little street as well.
Yeah, and then and there's like, it's cobbled, and there's like tiny little shops.
And this little, it's literally this little, for people who don't know Dublin, it's this little archway. You can look it up on Google Earth if you just type in
Merchants Quay, Temple
Bar. Gorgeous little place. Dublin is its own little magical world.
It is.
Of Harry Potter.
I think always much more like Harry Potter though. Where you're from, Adam.
For narrow little streets, yeah, but for cobblestones, it's definitely Dublin.
Yeah. So then they head down, and like Harry like says that he wish he had like 10 more eyes. He sees all the different shops. He sees like brooms and an owl emporium, and then they come to Gringotts, and it's a snowy white building which towered over the other little shops, and in a uniform of scarlet and gold was a goblin. Now, when they head into the bank, the goblin bows, and I think that is so unlike what we come to learn about goblins, especially in Deathly Hallows and their culture, that I don't think they, and especially with the Goblin Wars, like I don't think that they would bow.
I think they're in this service industry, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That they have to portray themselves a certain way. But they have to portray themselves a certain way for their customers or something like that. Yeah. As well, what I found interesting is JK has been really, 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 really criticised about her portrayal of goblins.
Oh, yeah,
and that they're anti-Semitic.
I don't know. I don't think J.K. Rowling would be like that, if I'm being honest.
I mean, the way that I always thought of goblins was exactly how J.K. Rowling has explained them. And it's the way that for centuries and centuries that goblins have been portrayed, I feel.
Yeah. Like Goblin Under the Bridge, like all this sort of thing. Like they've, like in all like mythology and stuff, I feel like goblins have been like money hungry sort creatures.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think maybe it's just modern culture bringing all this stuff up.
I suppose there is like that stereotype, the racist stereotype of that Jewish people, you know, being rich and loving money and that sort of thing. So maybe, I think they're just similar stereotypes, like, that wasn't intentional at all. Because like, you see J.K. Rowling on Twitter these days, she's like, is probably one of the least racist people.
J.K. Rowling is an amazing person, and Black Hermione is like, gives me life.
Like, I don't see her having a problem. Like, I can't see her doing that, like, on purpose. So of course we go into Gringotts and we learn that you'd be mad to try and rob it. For some reason, Hagrid has Harry's key. Dumbledore's obviously had this. How he got it,
and then
I have no idea.
And we find out then that obviously Harry's family are very well off, because he says, you know, oh, you have loads of money in the vault. And then Hagrid has to collect the secret package for Dumbledore. # Harry Potter and the package of secrets.
Well, we learn from Pottermore that Harry's like great-great-grandfather, Fleamont Potter, invented a Sleek Easy's hair potion. And that's why they're so rich.
Harry could use it.
Yeah, lol. Well, his hair's not frizzy, it's just all over the place. Hermione could use. Actually, I think she does use it. Yeah, she does use it in Goblet of Fire.
Should have just given Harry the money straight away.
Yeah, here, Harry.
Put out the middleman.
So they go down on this like essentially like a roller coaster of a cart. Down
Hagrid gets very, very, very sick, and it's like, don't talk to me.
That's literally me.
That is not me. I love roller coasters.
No, not in a roller coaster, but like I get really car sick, and if someone's talking to me, I'm like, shut up. I can't deal with this. I just need to focus on not vomiting right now.
So then they get all of the gold and stuff, and Griphook tells them about that, you know, that if you don't have a goblin with you and you touch the door, that you get sucked in. Which again is like another inconsistency in the books, because it's totally different in. I
think there's just special vaults.
Yeah.
That are high security. That like, because obviously Harry's is just a key, but then when they go down to the vault with 713, they go.
Vault
They like that's obviously a special
713.
vault. What?
Vault 713.
Yeah. Please.
Lamp, please.
Lamp, please.
Key, please.
So obviously, there's just a brown paper package, and Hagrid puts it into his coat. When they get back outside, Hagrid is just like me. He's like, I need
A
sup of the
drink.
cure.
The cure. Get the cure.
A sup of the cure. And so Harry goes in to get his robes while Hagrid slips off to the leaky cauldron for a shot, what sounds like it.
So then we're inside Madame Malkin's, and there's already this boy there getting fitted.
A boy with a pale, pointed face. And this is our first introduction to the one and only Draco Lucius Malfoy.
Did somebody say Draco Malfoy?
Oh my god. Did somebody say Draco Malfoy? Yeah, oh my god. That's for our Harry Potter musical pals. So of course he's just essentially bragging that his father's buying his books and his mother is like up the street looking at wands, and how he thinks he's going to bully his father into getting him a broom. And I'm just like, now that we know like Lucius Malfoy, I'd like to see him Draco bully his father into getting him
anything.
I'd like to see anyone try to bully Lucius Malfoy into anything.
Then Draco already starts talking about like the Hogwarts houses, and he's like, oh, I'm going to be in Slytherin. And we can totally see Draco straight away fitting into those Slytherin ideals of being cunning and ambitious. And he's like, oh, again, I'm going to bully my father into buying me a racing broom. But also, you can see that he wants to be a Quidditch player. So that's quite ambitious of him as a first year when they're like, no brooms.
Well, that's because he's been told his whole life he can do anything he wants to. Like, he's your typical spoiled, like, racist rich kid.
At the same time, is that such a bad thing to say? Like, you can do anything?
No, it's not, but like it's just that he's spoilt. It sounds like he's like Dudley almost, that he hasn't been like disciplined much. He's the only child, and I can definitely see Narcissa like spoiling him, because like she seems like the type of woman who would have wanted more kids but didn't for some reason. So I feel like she would have spoilt him, and like he's her precious little Draco.
But even from the off with Draco, we see his racial prejudices shining through.
Oh, definitely.
Like
they were
towards non purebloods, and then he just calls Hagrid a savage. Says that Muggleborn shouldn't be allowed into Hogwarts.
Yeah, and he doesn't show like empathy or like sympathy when Harry tells him his parents are dead. He's like, oh yeah, sorry. But to be honest, like at this, like if a kid is acting like this at 11, like you can't blame Draco for his actions. You can only really blame his parents and how they've raised him. So, this is like on Lucius and Narcissa.
Yeah. So then obviously Draco also talks about the house system.
Yes.
So he talks about Slytherin, and then he talks about Hufflepuff. He's like, oh, imagine being in Hufflepuff. I think I'd leave. Yeah. Sets this really, really bad first impression of Hufflepuff. Yeah. Which you find out obviously it's probably one of the nicest houses to be in.
It really is. Like there's such like I think this like that explanation, like Hufflepuff is never mentioned as like being like the awful house, I think, ever again.
No, well, it is, but Hagrid, in the same chapter, says everybody says
then he's obviously not
Hufflepuffs are a load of duffers.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's a bit mean. They're just nice people.
Yeah. So we realise then that, like, Harry really is innocent, because he gets, he's a bit down after talking to Draco, but then he has this, like, massive joy at, like, buying ink that changes colour. And we learn about Quidditch then.
Yes.
And it's pretty much,
Doesn't Draco talk about Quidditch as well when he's there, talking about the teams, like how many people there are on each team and something like that?
No, that's not there yet. I think maybe Ron explains it to him on the train, but we just know it's mentioned, and all it said, it's a sport played on broomsticks and there's 4 balls. So then they go into Flourish and Blots, and they pick up all his books. Harry tries to get more so that he can curse Dudley. And Harry also tries to buy a solid gold cauldron. And
I think it's just the first time that Harry has ever had money.
Oh yeah, this is like the only thing he's ever bought for himself.
And he's just literally like, I'm just going to buy everything expensive because I can.
Mate, that was me when I got my first paycheck. Like, literally.
Laura started a new job at the start of the year. So she got her
Yeah.
first paycheck in January and was just like, yes, let's spend
Yes,
all of
mate.
the thing.
Like, rolling in it. But yeah, so, yeah, and then they go to Ollivander's. So, in this chapter already, let's recap. We've seen how famous Harry actually is. We are first introduced at like our first physical representation of the wizarding world, and we are then also we learn about the Hogwarts houses. We see the shops. We learn about Gringotts and goblins. We learn about the money. We learn about Quidditch. I don't know if I repeated myself.
We learn
And
about
now
the
we're
package that Hagrid
Yeah.
has that he has to
Which
bring
is
back to Dumbledore.
brushed over.
Which is just completely brushed over, but it's just such a key part of the plot.
Yeah. And then now we're about to learn about wands. Also, sorry, before the wands, they run into Elop's Owl Emporium, and Harry has bought like what his first present since he
Ever.
was like a baby. And he gets Hedwig, which is just she's not called Hedwig at the moment, just a beautiful snowy owl. And Hagrid bought it for him, and like Harry's like just like he keeps stuttering like Professor Quirrell, and Hagrid's just like, don't mention it. It's so cute. And then they go into Ollivander's. Ollivander is really creepy.
He is so creepy in the books.
I know,
So
but
creepy.
I
I'm
think
like,
rest in peace, John Hurt. But I think he did such a good job in the movie as well.
He made Ollivander this really like warm feeling
yeah,
person, somebody that I could definitely relate to. Whereas in the books, I was kind of like, oh, this is a very
Yeah.
creepy old man that I need to, keep away from with a 10-foot porridge pole. Like, do not.
Yeah,
touch
it even
me.
says those silvery eyes were a bit creepy. Like it literally says that. Of course he remembers. We are learning about James and Lily's wand. So Lily had a 10 1/4 inches long swishy made of willow, nice wand for charm work, which we learn later on she was actually very good at charms. And then your father, on the other hand, favoured a mahogany wand, 11 inches, pliable, a little more power and excellent for transfiguration. And of course, we then learn that it's really the wand that chooses the wizard, of course.
So then, obviously, Ollivander starts giving wands to Harry to try. And what I find interesting is, in the books, anytime the wand isn't right, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, but in the movie, yeah.
In the movie,
well, we'll talk
it
about
does
that in the
something.
movie.
And we talk about that in the movies
if we
episode.
if we just stop
Ever get
talking
there.
about it.
And then Harry just seems to get all this anxiety, and it's nearly like imposter syndrome. Like he's like, oh,
yes.
this wand isn't doing anything, therefore I'm not a wizard, so I shouldn't really be
yeah.
here. You've made a horrible mistake.
Yeah, I'm not really a wizard, blah 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 blah. But then of course he comes across a holly and phoenix feather, 11 inches, nice and supple, and of course he feels a sudden warmth in his fingers and a stream of red and gold sparks shoot out the end.
And then Mr. Ollivander, curious, very curious, and that's when we learn about the dual cores between Harry's wand and Voldemort's wand, which is the massive plot point for the whole series.
Of course, then they make their way back down Diagon Alley.
Interesting thing I did a bit of research on. So a wand costs 7 galleons.
Yeah.
So I looked up on the internet how much 7 galleons was on the internet. So for our British listeners, it is £34.85p.
That's not too bad.
For our European or Irish listeners, it is €40.59.
That's
and
not bad.
for our American listeners, it's $43.80, and that was taken on the 1st of February of this month.
That's not too bad, really, because like you have to think about it. Like you should realistically have that wand for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's definitely an investment.
Yeah, like he probably like who's coming to him like during the rest of the year, you know?
Very
like,
true.
It's only like you're only getting like the 11-year-olds in like August.
But I feel bad for the Weasleys. That's a lot of money. They're not a very rich family.
Lot of money.
To say that they had twins go into 1 year, that's 14 galleons. Oh my god. Thank God that they have hand-me-down clothes, because God.
But Ron gets a hand-me-down wand. He gets Charlie's old wand, which Charlie probably
got a new wand when he got his job.
Yeah, which was probably already a hand-me-down wand. And of course Neville, his grandmother probably could have afforded to get him a new one, but gave him his father's old wand, probably out of grief and stuff like that. But we'll talk about that really actually later on, because it's a very interesting point about how. Anyway, we'll leave that for another time. So of course,
Harry is like completely overwhelmed at this stage, and it's just like, everything is so strange. And what I like is that Hagrid just like continually reassures Harry throughout the whole of the chapter that all of this is normal in the wizarding world. Everything is fine. You're fine. You will be fine.
It's all fine.
It'll be grand.
Should be grand.
A few pints, be grand.
Yeah, like Harry's like, everyone thinks I'm special, but I don't know anything about magic at all. Like, he's like, I'm famous and I can't even remember what I'm famous for. And Hagrid's just like, don't you worry, Harry, you'll learn fast enough. Of course, he then gives him his ticket for Hogwarts, 1st of September, King's Cross. And he says, any problems with the Dursleys, and send me a letter with your L. She'll know where to find me. And with that, the train pulled out of the station. Harry wanted to watch Hagrid until he was out of sight. He rose in his seat and pressed his nose against the window, but he blinked and Hagrid was gone. Yet again, another, I think, inconsistency,
Hagrid
because I cannot see
apparate.
in what world Hagrid being able to apparate.
Hagrid is so terrible at giving instructions. Lord Jesus Christ. Like,
he really
1st
is.
of January, King's Cross, it's on your ticket.
1st of January?
1st
1st September.
of January. Sorry, I have the new year on my mind already.
Yeah, you're fine.
Roll on 2018.
Oh, God.
Yeah, just really awful at giving instructions, and then, in the letter and this ticket, it just says platform 9 3/4. That's all well and good. Where the fuck is platform 9 3/4?
Yeah, like, I don't think he even says it. He doesn't even say platform 9 3/4. He just says 1st of September, King's Cross. It's all on your ticket. Sure be grand. Like, off you go.
And then, obviously, Harry goes back to the Dursleys for the rest of the summer.
Yes. And to put it lightly, the first line of Chapter 6, The Journey from Platform 9 3/4, Harry's last month with the Dursleys wasn't fun.
Of course, we'll be going
least.
through Chapter 6 on our next episode, because I still have to read the rest of that chapter.
Same, to be honest, same. We got through this a lot quicker than I actually would. But yeah, how do you think we did so far, Adam?
Not too bad. I think we're getting through the book fairly thoroughly. We're having some good discussion.
Well, to be honest, like, we are learning
God,
a lot,
I didn't realise how much I had missed in rereading it. I've reread this book, this book series about 11 times, so I'm actually disgusted in myself.
I can't even... Yeah. Like, I've read, like, often, when you're sick sometimes and, like, you're just up the whole night.
My problem is if I'm sick and I'm up the whole...
Like, I've often read that book in, like, 4 hours.
When I'm sick and I'm up the whole night, usually I'm pretty delirious, so nothing goes in. It's just staring at a page of words.
Yeah. So, like, I've read this book definitely in about 4 or 5 hours, like, in one sitting before. Like, probably several times. So, like, I say probably this is the most read book in the series for me. Like, do you want to rate the books, really?
Yeah, we can do. So,
because we've still got about 10 minutes left, but it's a bit too early to, I think, not enough time to go through the next chapter. Also, we need to read it.
So, my favourite book out of the series would be Deathly Hallows. That's my favourite book.
Mm-hmm.
Reason why is I think it just ties up a good few loose ends.
Yeah, it's my favourite book of the series as well.
I think it's a pretty fast moving book as well. Like, it just sucked me in the first time I read it. It just absolutely sucked me in. And my least favourite is Order of the Phoenix. I hated that book so much. The only reason I finished it was because I needed to know what happened at the end. The minute I started reading about Professor Umbridge, I was like, hell no. Good luck. I do not like you. And I do not like this book because of you. And still to this day when I reread it, I'm like, this is the most awful book of the series.
Oh wow. So you're not going to enjoy our when we get to
it is going to be extremely painful for me.
Oh, okay. Well, so in numbers, like, so obviously 7's first. What's next?
So I would say 7, 3, which is Prisoner of Azkaban.
Obviously.
4.
Yeah.
I loved Goblet of Fire. 6, 2, 1, and then 5.
So Philosopher's Stone's your second least
Yeah,
favorite.
I just think it's very like early days for JK, and that like it's a good baseline for the story, but that the other books are just so much better than this one.
Yeah, I have to turn my mic around because I have to look at my books
luckily
I can
my
remember.
bookcase is right in front of me where I am, so I was like
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to turn around. Sorry if there's rustling.
Oh, my question is though.
Okay, so like
Cursed Child is the 8th story. Do we include that in it?
Okay, so I think it's canon, but because it's so different, like I wouldn't include it in like this series of books. Much like I wouldn't like, because I've got like the script book for Fantastic Beasts,
which is so beautiful,
up there as well, and Tales of Beetlebard. I know it's really good. And I've got Tales of Beetlebard as well. But like I wouldn't necessarily like include them in like, oh, what's your favourite in the series, if you get me, you know? Because I think it's the 8th story, but it's not the 8th book. Yeah. So out of the 7 main books, 7 is my favourite, much like Adam, because it just ties up everything, and I think it's just so well written. Like at this stage, she knows her characters, like inside and out, like everyone. And she'd been planning this for so long that it's so satisfying for everything to tie up. Then probably after 7, I'd probably go 4. I really, really like 4. I think the tasks and the Triwizard Tournament is just so interesting. And it's just so good. After 4 would be 3. Of course, because like Prisoner of Azkaban, best movie.
Oh my god, Prisoner of Azkaban is just such an amazing movie. Oh, the cinematography just totally
so
changes
good.
in that movie. And it's so refreshing not to have
so
Voldemort
good.
basically appear in one of the books as well.
Yeah, it really was. Prisoner of Azkaban, so I've done 7, 4, 3, 7, 4, 3, 1, Philosopher's Stone. Just because it has this like massive nostalgia, like that. Like if I'm ever having a down day, if I don't want to pick up one like the monstrous books that is like Goblet of Fire, I just pick up like Philosopher's Stone, and it just makes me feel better like instantly. So 7, 4, 3, 1, 5. I actually pretty like Order of the Phoenix. Again, I think it's way too long. It is the longest of the books.
You can't see me, but I am giving you the death
but I
stare
really
right
do
now.
like. So then second least favourite is Half-Blood Prince. I hated that book.
It's
like,
very full
I
of
really
teenage
did not
angst,
like that
I
book.
do have to say that.
Yeah, it's not even that. Like I think it does definitely give us like a normal year Hogwarts, but I just found like I just remember being really bored. Like they didn't make the Horcruxes scene
Sinister.
as like I don't know. I didn't really care about Voldemort's past. Like I really didn't like all the flashbacks. And then 2 is my least favourite. So it's going to be really painful for me.
Why don't you like Chamber of Secrets?
Because it's my least favourite movie and it's my least favourite book, purely because I think it's just the book. Because, so I like that. I think after Philosopher's Stone, the book I've read the most is Chamber of Secrets. And the movie I've seen the most is Chamber of Secrets, purely because we had 1 and 2 on VHS.
Showing your
we,
age there now, Laura.
VHS. For some reason. Yeah, VHS. So we had 1 and 2 on VHS, but we didn't but then we never bought any more of the other movies, like when they came out on DVD or whatever. So I feel like 1 is such a great movie and such a great book, because I feel like it's the beginning. You know, it's the beginning. But then 2, I think I've just overread it and overwatched
also, it's ruined
the movie.
it for you, really.
And it has kind of ruined it. I'm hoping now. I haven't read, like, if I do a reread of the series, like I skip Chamber of Secrets.
You hate it that much.
So I'm hoping that, I really don't like it. So I think that hopefully, like, this will be my first time rereading it.
Oh, okay, so
years.
hopefully it'll be a little bit less painful for you.
I'm hoping that it will change. I'm hoping that I will begin to re-like it.
I mean,
if that's a word.
I mean, since we're going through it chapter by chapter and kind of analysing it, I feel like I've enjoyed this Philosopher's Stone a lot more than what I have previously have. by just getting this
Yeah.
bigger understanding of it already. And I mean, we're only 5 chapters into it at this stage, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get in, because like we're 2 episodes in and we haven't met the Weasleys
Yet.
or Hermione.
Soon.
Yet. Next chapter. Next chapter.
So
next episode.
we're going to wrap it up here now for this episode number 2.
Yeah. So you can find us Expecto Podcastum on Twitter and Instagram.
They can find
Adam,
me
where
at
can they find you?
On Twitter and Instagram, both the same. And then
And I'm Laura Killabean on Twitter and Instagram, again, both the same. Please tweet us. Let us know if you agree or disagree with us and have the discussion along with us. And so next week we'll see you for chapter 6, the journey from platform 9 and
we'll
3
see you
quarters.
then. Bye, guys.
See you then. Bye.